Unit 2, Day 3 notes. Today we're going to discuss laws of detachment and syllogism. Of course, we got a few vocabulary terms that we need to introduce. First being inductive reasoning, where it uses specific examples to draw conclusions. The second term is deductive reasoning, where we use facts, rules, definitions, or properties to draw conclusions. So it's kind of similar to inductive. However, again, the inductive, you use examples, whereas deductive, you use facts and rules. And the last term we need to know and discuss is a conjecture. If you ever see the word conjecture, don't be alarmed. It's just a fancy way of saying conclusion. So it is the concluding statement that follows inductive or deductive reasoning. Let's practice some inductive reasoning. Using the sequences below, we're going to provide a conjecture that describes the pattern we see. So for A, it says follow-up visits are December, May, October, and March. Well, if I look at it, between December and May, there are 5 months. There's January, February, March, April, May. So let's write that down, and let's see if that pattern continues. So between December and May, that was 5 months. From May to October, there's June, July, August, September, October. Again, 5 months. So a conjecture we could make would be something like, we will have follow-up visits every 5 months. And my handwriting is going to be sloppy, and I do apologize. But again, it reads, we will have follow-up visits every 5 months. So I want you to look at the second example and try and see if you can describe the pattern and use that pattern to make a conjecture. Now, to practice deductive reasoning, we got to learn about two different laws, the law of detachment and the law of syllogism. When we use the law of detachment, it must follow a certain protocol where the first statement that would read if P, then Q, then this, and it'll be a general statement. The second statement will be a specific statement in regards to P only. And then our third statement will be written for us in advance, or we'll write it ourselves, and that'll be our conjecture, but it'll be specific in regards to Q. So that's the pattern that we are going to use for the law of detachment. However, on the opposite side, we have the law of syllogism. Again, we have three statements. The first statement will be if P, then Q. The second statement will be if Q, then R. So we had ran out of variables, that's why we introduced R, so don't be alarmed. But when we introduce R, it's simply the fact that we're going to be introducing some new material to the statements. So our third statement, again being our concluding statement or our conjecture, will be written in the format of if P, then R. So let's practice using both law of detachment and law of syllogism. So on both of these examples, they've written all three statements, and our job is to determine if the third statement is a valid conclusion based off of the previous. So I'm going to do example A, and I'll leave you to do example B on your own. So example A, statement 1 reads, if an angle is less than 90, then the angle is not obtuse. So first we're going to identify our P and Q. Again, P is your hypothesis, and Q is your conclusion. So after if, up into the comma, that is P. Okay, your hypothesis. And then after the word then, into the end of the sentence is always our conclusion. So our conclusion is the angle is not obtuse. So this is Q. So far we have P, if P, then Q. And it's a general or vague statement. Now look at statement 2. It says the measure of angle A is equal to 75. Now we're talking about a specific angle, angle A. And we have its exact measurement, 75. So this is a specific statement in regards to P. So this is so far following the correct protocol for law of detachment. So let's read the last statement to be sure. The last statement or the third statement says angle A is not obtuse. So is that a valid conclusion based off of what we just read? Yes, it is, because again, it is Q, but it's specific in regards to Q. So angle A is not obtuse. So it follows the law of detachment. And yes, this conclusion is valid. All right, I have a couple more statements. And on this slide, I'm going to do example D. And you can do example C. So originally, the three statements were not written in if-then form. So it's highly recommended that you rewrite the statements in if-then form first in order to establish the pattern or protocol that is being followed in that scenario. So the original sentences were all students are in a math class, all students are learners, everyone in a math class is a learner. So in if-then form, the first sentence would say, if you are a student, then you are in a math class. So on that first sentence, let's go ahead and identify our hypothesis and our conclusion. P, you are a student. So that's the hypothesis. And then it says you are in a math class. So that is Q. All right. On the second statement, it starts off with saying, if you are a student. We've seen that before. You are a student is P. So let's label that again correctly. And then it follows by saying, then you are a learner. We haven't talked about being a learner yet. So that's some new information. So since it's new information, we need a new variable, which is why we're going to introduce R. Then the third statement says, if you are in a math class, I saw that before also, that was Q. So you are in a math class, that's Q. Then you are a learner. Again, I saw that before, and that was R up above. So you are a learner. So the first statement is if P then Q, which follows the protocol for both law of detachment and law of syllogism. Then the second statement says if P then R. So when I go back up to the top of my previous slide, I did not see P then R on any second statement. See, when I look at detachment, it should just be P, and it's specific to P. However, when I look at law of syllogism, it says if Q, then R. So just on that fact alone, I know that my third sentence is not following the correct pattern or protocol. So that means the third statement is not going to be a valid conclusion. So not valid. It got kind of tricky because it did look like it was law of syllogism, but law of syllogism has a specific pattern to follow. And if it doesn't follow that specific pattern in that specific order, then it's not valid. Or you cannot write a conclusion if you were asked to write one. For these statements, they give the first two. We have to write the third one if it is possible. If it's not possible, we're simply going to write just not possible. So in the first one, it says, if Alana stays up late, then she will be tired the next day. Alana is tired. So there's two statements, right? We got to write the third one. So in the first statement, let's identify our hypothesis at P. So that would be Alana stays up late. All right, then we identify our conclusion, Q. She will be tired. Now, our second sentence is a specific sentence in regards to Alana being tired. So, when did we refer to her being tired? Was it in the hypothesis or was it in the conclusion? Tired came in the conclusion. So, this is Q. So, it kind of looks like it's law of detachment, but if you remember, let's go back. Law of detachment should go if P then Q, which our first sentence did, then P, then Q. So come back over here. My pattern right now is P, Q, Q, which doesn't follow anybody's law. So on this example, it is not possible to write a conclusion. Alana could be tired because she simply didn't eat breakfast, took some medicine that made her drowsy. There could be a number of reasons why she's tired, and it may not have anything to do with her staying up late. So we cannot create a valid conclusion based off of the information we're given. It's just not enough. All right, let's look at B. If Jose is tardy, then he will receive a warning. So in that first sentence, the hypothesis, Jose is tardy. So that's P. The conclusion, he will receive a warning. So that is Q. The second statement says, if Jose receives a warning, I saw that before. That was Q from above. So it's still Q again. Then he will have D Hall. That's some new information. So we need to introduce our new variable R. So far, it is following the law of syllogism pattern. Go back and look at it. Law of syllogism says if P, then Q. If Q, then R. So our third sentence, if we're following the pattern, should read if P, then R. So keep that in mind. We have to use the format if P, then R. So the sentence would read, if Jose, and again I apologize for my handwriting, is tardy, then he will have D Hall. And that's our conjecture. Basically, when it comes to the law of syllogism, to write your conclusion, you remove both Q's and put P and R together. And it's just that simple. So this concludes your notes for today. Please take a picture and submit online.